Alright, everybody. Oh, I have reverb on. Let's switch this over. And give me 1 second. And there we go. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Ooh, got different color light. Well, different color lights. Yeah. That's how we do. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you to everyone who has showed up and is here for the performance. I greatly appreciate it. Obviously, fancy lighting change. That's right. We get all the fanciness. And the beard is done up. Hot colors. So, for those who don't know who I am, or maybe stumbled across this from one of my social media platforms, you probably know who I am. I'm Nick Cutroneo. I'm a professional classical guitarist, and like most artists at this time, we have been greatly affected by the quarantine and by the pandemic facing the whole world. Live performance have pretty much come to a complete halt, and with that makes it very difficult for us to share our music with you all, and that's what we are ultimately all about, is sharing our music. And so the idea here is that I started, I would say probably, well, I started this I think was it last week? Yeah, last week. So last week I started a series, pretty much a virtual concert series. The idea is that through all of my main social media platforms, once a month, I'm going to do a performance for everybody, sharing the music, sharing my program, and performing for everybody. The main platform that I'm on is Twitch, and you can find my Twitch link in the description box below, twitch.tv/guitarshredder. And on there I share I live stream my practice sessions for the most part. But then I decided, I know that I have YouTube, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, and so what I'm going to do is every Sunday I'm going to rotate through those platforms. Last week we did Twitch, this week we're doing YouTube, next week will be Instagram, and then the end of the month will be Facebook, and then we'll start all over again in June. So there are links in the description below with all of the information with what's going on. In addition to that, there is my Venmo account, where if you enjoy tonight's performance and you have the means to be able to support and give a little tip, a donation, you can do that through my Venmo account. Unfortunately, right now that's only for, I just found this out, you can only do that if you are an American resident. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to do that for non-American residents. But that's for this week to figure out. Suggested donation of $5, but you can donate whatever you can. It's not the amount that you support is not the issue. Just the appreciation of you being here. Watching is support enough. Sharing this with your friends is support enough. And so we'll be going through. And so make sure to follow me on all my different social media accounts. Obviously YouTube, which is what we're on right now. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're following me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Twitch. All of those links are down below, so that way you guys can get that and be in touch with it. I'm trying to think of anything else before we start. I don't think so. But feel free to say if you're new here, if you're hanging out and stopping by, feel free to talk in the chat. I have chat up on the monitor right in front of me right there, and I will be reading chat. This, as the title says, this is a Q&A as well. So in between movements, in between pieces, if there are questions that come up in the chat, I'm more than happy to answer them as we go. So also in the description is the program, in case you're wondering what I'm going to be playing. So the first piece on the program is Choros number 1 by Heitor Villa-Lobos. And this piece, funny enough, was one of the first classical guitar pieces that I had ever learned. So I've been playing this piece, or I've played this piece in different aspects, 20 some odd years now, picking it up a handful of times. It's a really great piece. Villa-Lobos is super important to the classical guitar community as one of the pioneers of modern day guitar composition and technique. His 12 etudes that were published in 1929 are one of the most important collections of works for the classical guitar. He wrote 5 preludes. He wrote a a 5-movement suite of Brazilian music fused with European musical influences, and then he also wrote this Choros number 1. And so this Choros is a piece. I've got to turn off that light. Is a piece which is actually comes from folk music of Brazil. Choros bands were popular there, almost kind of like tango bands of Argentina. And so he wrote several choroses. I don't know what the plural of it is, but he wrote several different choroses, I guess, for different instruments and instrument combinations. It's only fitting that the first one is for guitar, as he was a guitarist himself. So I hope you guys enjoy Choros number 1 by Villa-Lobos.
My apologies.
Sorry about that. Whoa. And something else just fell. Where'd that go? There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Apparently, somehow Siri got turned on in the middle of that. And then I lost all sound in my headphones. And it just was crazy. What's up, William? How you doing? Oh, the cats are coming here now. It wouldn't be a stream of mine without the cats hanging out with us. Don't step... Oh, God. He's going to walk all over this, so I'm going to move the keyboard now. So, where can I put this thing? Alright. Let's try this. Alright. Dude, perfect baseline. Vincent, thank you so much. Thank you. Shazam. Dude, thanks. I appreciate that, man. Chili and Rocky. Oh yeah, they gotta make an appearance. I mean, they just have to, right? So the next piece that I'll be performing, and I guess in between the pieces, I'll just ask for questions if anybody's got them. You know, give everybody an opportunity. If there's any kind of questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, this is kind of like a Q&A. In regards to that, so feel free to ask any kind of questions you guys may have. Otherwise, we'll just keep playing some music. Again, if you have Venmo, and if you are... Okay, apparently an alert from Twitch went off in my ear. So that was a thing. Let's see if I can get rid of that here. I don't even have any alerts on here. Ugh. All right. So that might happen from time to time. I apologize for that. So, again, Venmo link right in front of me. You can just at. Did I study the Boxieras of Samba for the Villa-Lobos Choros? I'm gonna have to out myself. I did not do any of that studying. I played, I studied the music, making sure that the rhythms, I know that, in terms of rhythms, the rhythmical accuracy of it is super important. But I didn't do any sort of specific study to play the choros in terms of different rhythms or things like that. I did a little bit of research of like what I should be looking out for and what I should be aware of, but nothing very specific to the music in that sense. Listen to a lot of recordings, both South American guitarists and also non-South American guitarists. I know that South American guitarists are going to approach it from a certain perspective as well, but getting a nice idea of what musicians are doing, I think, is really important. So again, Venmo links right here, right there. If you have Venmo, like I said, $5 suggested. Very accurate. I'm saying as a Brazilian. Well, that is probably the best compliment that I could have gotten, and I am going to save that. I'm going to copy that and do a little bit more research on that, so that way I can make it even better. So I appreciate that. I'm glad because now like, oh man, I didn't do that. Is that something that I should have done? Oh man, don't want to dig myself into a hole with that. I find that, and this is just a personal thing for me, and as anybody who has seen me stream knows, I will go off onto tangents. It's a thing. So that is a normal thing. But one of the things that I really try and sort of do before anything else is really make sure that I rhythmically understand the piece. So like I want to make sure that I have, if a composer is putting down those rhythms are going to be sort of the insight a little bit into that style. Making sure that especially if they're using things like articulations and accent markings, I really want to make sure that I bring those things out, to my fullest. So with that said, we're going to kind of stay in Brazil a little bit. This next piece, which is Saudade number 3 by Roland Dyens. Dyens, I believe in the 70s, lived in Brazil. And after he had, I believe, moved back to Europe from Brazil, he wrote his first set of pieces. They were a set of 3 saudades, pretty much as a thank you note to Brazil and the Brazilian people. This third saudade, Saudade number 3, is probably one of his more popular, the most popular of this set of 3. Written, I believe, in the 1980s. So this thing is, or in 1980. So this is now approaching 40 years old now. Was once Williams. Salute from Argentina. What's up, William? Thanks for joining us, man. So this piece was written in 1980, along with the other 2 saudades, and like I said, is a homage, is a thank you note to the Brazilian people and to its culture and to its music. Roland Dyens is a composer who is, again, really important to the guitar, especially more specifically to the late 20th, early 21st century guitar music. I guess we're still in the early 21st century, but anyway, contemporary guitar music, we could say. So, he's a very prolific composer, and has wrote many wonderful pieces for the guitar, and really important, again, in terms of a guitarist writing for the guitar. So very idiosyncratic in a lot of ways to what the instrument can do. And this piece really, I think, showcases, like a lot of his pieces do, showcases the variety of influences that he has. His jazz influence, his rock influence, his blues influence, his South American influence, his classical influence, so to speak, and then also his Far East influences, Indian music, Chinese music, and other Asian cultures' music. So this piece is in 3 movements that sort of go straight through. It opens up with a quasi sort of improvisatorial section, which really was a staple of Dyens' performances. He would improvise a piece as like the very first piece on a program, and there are wonderful YouTube videos of these improvisations where he would just go off, and just watching the man create a new piece from seemingly nothing is really, really inspiring to witness. And it's great that we have those videos to watch, because Dyens unfortunately passed away back in 2017. So we have the first movement, which is an improvisatorial movement, followed by a dance, which is the second movement, and then a finale at the third movement. So I hope you guys enjoy Saudade number 3. Starling speaker, how's it going? Caroline, hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. All right. So again, just like after the previous piece, take a few questions if there are questions and things of that nature. If not, we'll just keep this show going. Again, feel free to chat. Feel free to interact in the chat and say hi and have conversations. I can see the chat on my screen. So. All right. So if there are no questions, and you can ask me anything. You can ask me questions about the music. You can ask me questions about other music. You could ask me questions about my guitar, about other guitars, any kind of... You can ask me non-music questions. Doesn't matter. You guys are more than... Feel free to ask whatever kind of questions you may have. But if there are no questions, we'll just keep this party going. So the next piece that I'll be playing is a set of 5 pieces. Suito Plata number 1 is written by Maximo Diego Pujol. Wonderful, really enjoying. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Carol. Can I tell us about my guitar? Absolutely, Steve. Steve, how's it going, man? How you doing? And the mic setup? Yeah, sure thing. So we'll start with the guitar before I introduce the pieces. We'll start with the guitar. So this guitar, curious as to the flow of the program, how you came to decide on the pieces. Absolutely. So we'll start with the guitar, then we'll get to some of the other questions. The guitar is built by a luthier in Massachusetts, Alan H. Chapman. And the guitar is... I wish that I had more information on it, but I don't. Because he tells me so much stuff that it just sort of, like, puts me on overload, and I feel like a computer that has been, like, asked to open up too many applications. But it's from 2017. It's one of his newer designs, based off of the French luthier Hugo Couvier's. He made a couple guitars for David Newsman. Yeah, Newsman. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so the interesting thing about this guitar, back up a little bit so that way you can see, the body is about 1 inch thicker or 1 inch longer than typical classical guitar bodies. It's a 000 size for those in the know of instrument body sizes. And this guitar and the creation of this guitar and the ultimate acquisition of this guitar was about a 5-year journey, which started with me not in, sort of becoming unhappy, displeased with the guitar that I had at the time, which was another Alan Chapman guitar. It was his extended lattice model, which has, the funny sound holes, which the sound holes and everything, that stuff didn't bother me. The issue with the guitar, I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. The issue that I had with the guitar was simply that it wasn't producing the sound that I was now envisioning in my head. And so Alan and I would be, I would regularly go up to him and we would try out guitars, and I would regularly be, expressing these things to him. And he was going to redo my guitar. He was going to retop it, which I kind of said no to. But ultimately what wound up happening is that he had these tester guitars, and Alan's a really interesting luthier because he doesn't test out ideas on a guitar that he's selling, but rather he tests out ideas on sort of throwaway bodies, to perfect it to where he likes it, and then he'll start making the actual guitar. Which means that if you're getting a guitar from him, it can be a little frustrating because he's not going to be building your guitar immediately, but the end result is amazing. And so I played the tester. I'm like, Alan, you're going to hate me, but I want that guitar. And he's like, yeah. And so I was like a year and a half later, then this came into my hands, and I've been playing it ever since. Mic setup. So what I'm using for a mic is I'm using a Audio-Technica 2020 mic. And believe it or not, this is the weird thing. It's running through my Line 6 Helix. So anybody who's a subscriber to my YouTube channel will know that at a certain point in time, I was doing a lot of electric guitar videos. And I was doing a lot of demos for Helix stuff. And I still do sell a handful of Helix patches on my website. And so the amazing thing about Helix, I've been using Helix since it came out in October of 2015, and it's been a godsend. It's been, as they continue to update it, I've been using it more and more to the point of where if I go out on a gig, I don't use a real amp. I go this direct into the PA system. That's okay. But this, I have the full blown Helix, as I like to call it. They have a Helix Lite and they have some other smaller ones. This one has amazing amounts of IOs. It's got a guitar input. It's got a sort of auxiliary input. It has an XLR input. It's got 4 effect sends or 4 effects loops that can all be used as inputs into the Helix. And so I use this for theater gigs and everything. It's great. So I'm using this connected with an XLR cable into the Helix. And then the other awesome thing that Helix can be is that Helix can be an audio interface, an 8-channel audio interface. And so this is running USB into my iMac, and I have a channel up with this mic, and in Logic I have a handful of sweetener buses. I have some, what do they call these things? They're called directional mixes, right? Is that it? Yeah, the directional mix. So I have a directional mix on a sub bus for right and left to sort of get a little bit more of a spread in the sound. And then on a third bus, I have a reverb, and that's what I'm turning on and off in Logic. So I have a little mixer console, digital mixer console in Logic for me to do that. So that's sort of the setup. It's guitar, mic. I have a little bit of EQ just to take out. Really, what the EQ is taking out is it's taking out all the background noise. Like if I put on the EQ, take off the EQ, you hear that hiss, right? And so the EQ is the primary function of that EQ is to take out that hiss. And so instead of using a noise gate, I'm using an EQ with a pretty much very wide sort of, I guess, low high pass cut. What frequency? It's the I believe it's the, hold on, I'm gonna get this wrong. It's the low pass filter, which cuts off the highs. So it's pretty much starting at around 3K and just a very gradual cutoff until 20K. So in Logic, they're purple fader with a very moderate Q of just 0.10, and then and all that stuff. Yeah, any time, Steve. This is all through a little bit of trial and error. As I do stuff, really the idea that I'm trying to have this mic do is, I know what the guitar sounds like, not in person without these headphones. So I want to make sure that it's captured that way. So the EQ is pretty much just helping out whatever the mic is coloring. Sort of I'm trying to do the opposite of the coloring of the mic to sort of balance it out. Your setup and playing are both sound excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, so let's see. All right, curious about the flow of the program. How do I come to decide on these pieces in this order? So programming is one of, I think, the most overlooked things just in general of an artist. So in college, you have requirements that you have to meet. Typically, a very typical program is, well, you have to have a piece representative of each musical period and blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. And, the easiest way of programming it is to just go in order, in chronological order, right? So you do the earliest piece first, and then by the end of the concert, you're doing the second, or you're doing the most recently performed piece. I don't program that way. I also don't choose pieces that way. So this program is an all Latin Spanish program, which is sort of the bread and butter of the classical guitar. And so how did I come to choose these pieces? The choice of these pieces, I was playing a concert program in 2008 and 2009, or excuse me, 2018 and 2019, that I was finding I enjoyed the concert program a lot, but I was finding that it was really, really difficult for people to enjoy it. Like I would play pieces, and the look of like what I felt was sheer terror and disgust of what I did to their ears. Like they're just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, I've got to rethink what I'm doing. And so I chose specific pieces for purposes, obviously. So I think the only thing that stayed from my previous program was the Dyens, the Saudade number 3. But everything else I sort of brought in different ways. So the Choros number 1 typically is paired with another piece. I pair it with Danza Brasileira, but I had put that piece down a handful of time ago, so I'm in the process of bringing that back up, and I'll be performing that next month. But I specifically chose Choros number 1 and Danza Brasileira for the purpose of discussing for the purpose of discussing Brazilian music, because then I was playing a piece that was influenced by Brazilian music. You're probably aware of this, but Saudade means something like "I miss you." Yes, that's right. Yeah, completely left my mind as I was explaining it, but yes, and that was what it was. His missing of Brazil. So that was the purpose of those two pieces. Saudade number 3 I decided to keep because I really enjoy that piece. The next piece, the Pujol Suite Plata number 1. Why did I choose this one? I think what was starting to happen is I was starting to get a theme for the program. So later on in the program, you'll see me play some Barrios pieces, and as I'm putting this together, I'm like, you know what? This is turning out to be your quote unquote typical South American guitar program. So let's get some Argentinian music in here, right? Some music from Argentina. And so I thought of Pujol, Suite Plata number 1. I teach this piece a whole lot. I think it's a wonderful piece. And so I put it on a program before, decided to put it back on the program again. And then I forget why I decided for the Barrios piece. I think it was ultimately that I wanted to have a tremolo piece, so I knew I played Una Limosna, so I put that on there. I'm like, I need another piece. It was originally going to be Machiche by Barrios, but I decided on Julia Florida instead, because that's just a beautiful piece, and a student of mine was playing it, and I'm like, I gotta play this piece again. So I relearned that. Leyenda, which I'm going to end with, I hold no illusions to the audience that I play to, if that makes sense. And so I know that it's a crowd pleaser. People love Leyenda, so I always pretty much have been closing with that piece for a year and a half now. And if Barueco and David Russell can close off a concert with Leyenda, then I think it's okay if I close off a concert with Leyenda. So that's sort of the inspiration and the thought process behind the decision of this concert program. But this program will be evolving. And one of the things that these virtual concerts that I'm doing, like I said, it's going to be a series of concerts. So every Sunday on a different social media platform, I will be doing a live stream concert. My plan is to start rotating in new works within each month as I go through. So next month, when I'm back here on YouTube playing, there will be new pieces on the program. Maybe not a whole new program, but there will be new pieces on the program. And I've got some really great stuff coming up in the works. So Suite Plata number 1, like I said, is written by Maximo Diego Pujol, who sort of took up the reins of this idea of writing tango music as artistic music rather than just music that was danced to. A friend of mine, maybe almost 10 years ago, when he played this piece, he likened this suite to a Baroque dance suite, and it was probably the most astute observation that I had ever seen. For those unfamiliar, a Baroque dance suite, think like Bach's first cello suite, right? Baroque dance suite has multiple movements which take inspiration from the dances of the time, of Baroque dances. So common dances are Allemande, Sarabande, Courants, Gigs, and they would put them all together in a collection, and before they were listened to, they were danced to, right? So before they became art music, They were actually music of the people, music that people danced to, court music. When Bach was writing these dance suites, they weren't danced to anymore. They were simply artistic endeavors. And so Pujol I think, took a little bit of that influence, because Suite Plata number 1 includes 4 different South American, Argentinian dances that he composed to use them as the inspiration. The piece starts off with a prelude, which is a very common thing to start off with in a dance suite collection. The tango is the second movement, which follows your typical tango fast, slow, fast form. The the milonga, which is the third movement, is a slow tango. The merga, I believe I'm saying that right, merga, is a street song. So is the candombe, which is sort of a street celebration song. So Suite Plata number 1. Again, guys, feel free to ask questions in the chat. Even as I'm playing, I'm more than happy to. I'll be watching out, and at the end of the performance, I will be more than happy to answer any and all of those questions. Again, and one more time, just for reference, my Venmo links is down below with suggested donation of $5, but you're more than happy to, or feel free to donate what you can. It's always greatly appreciated. All right, so here we go. Jack, how's it going? Oop. Get that out of the way. Yes, Limosna is coming up soon. Oh, I don't know why I'm retweeting that. Just messed everything up. Alright. Yeah, Limosna's coming up. Alright. Pluntic. How's it going, man? Alright. So yeah, again, as we break and sort of get ourselves going for the next piece, are there any questions? Anything, any pressing concerns that may be on one's mind as we go for our next piece? Again, for those who are able to do so, I do have a suggested donation of about $5. Again, that can be done either as $5 or can be done as however much you are able to contribute. It's all greatly appreciated. I know that there are a handful of people who have already done so. I'm not going to sort of like out them, I don't think. But I do want to let you know that I have seen it, and thank you very much. Your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. Especially during these times. I know that, for some people, we don't have a lot. And, for artists like myself and all other artists, thousands, possibly millions of artists around the world, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of us, we have gone from having lots and lots of performances to be having nothing. And I'm trying to use this as an opportunity to continue performing rather than sort of hiding off in the distance and not knowing what to do. So a lot of us have been taking on these sorts of projects, and there are streams that are happening all over the internets. So yeah. Again, my Venmo link down below, right around here-ish. And yeah, so let's go on to the next piece, if there are no questions. The next piece, Una Limosna por Amor de Dios, or translated, Alms for the Love of God. This is the last piece that Barrios ever wrote for the guitar. And while he was in the later years of his life, story goes is that a beggar woman would come to his door and knock 6 times and ask alms for the love of God. She would ask for a donation to the church. And Barrios took that knocking rhythm and created this bass line. So he used that as the nugget of how do you say, maybe nugget of inspiration to create this piece. This piece uses a technique called tremolo. For those uninitiated in the techniques of classical guitar, tremolo is a technique where we use a rapid succession of ring finger, middle finger, and index finger to play a melody in very quick succession, thusly. And when we add in the thumb, we get a bass line. Great attitude as always. Thanks for the good tunes. Good night. Greets from Twitch. Yes, thanks, man. I'll see you on Twitch. So the thumb will play a bass line, and together we create this illusion of 2 instruments. The tremolo kind of is meant to replicate sort of the idea of a tremolo, like a mandolin tremolo or a violin tremolo that you would see. And it gives us, the guitarists, a way of playing a long lyrical line without the need of sustain, of a bow, or without needing to breathe in that sense. So that's the piece. Yeah, it's a wonderful piece. I hope you guys enjoy Una Limosna por Amor de Dios. best trim piece there is. Here, looking at you, Ricardo's coming for you. Alright, so again, as we pause for retuning here, there's an actual retuning. Again, any questions? Ask about the cats. They're here, hanging out, having a good time. Nope, and now they're kissing each other. Is it true that the guitar started as a poor man's instrument? I don't know if it started as a poor man's instrument. I would say it started as an every man's instrument, right? So it's one of the few instruments that you could, especially like if you think Renaissance guitar, Baroque guitar, we're talking about really, really small instruments here that you could just sort of throw around and bring with you wherever you wanted to go. So that's probably more so of where this started. I'm gonna actually shut these blinds. Sorry, cats. Let's do this real quick. There we go. All right, sorry, cats. It's okay. You guys are fine. Calm down. I would say probably it started more so as an everyman's instrument. You know, there was a point where the guitar was like the household instrument. It started mainly as an accompaniment instrument, right, where you could just, you know, play chords and all that kind of stuff. That would be the G chord because this. I'm in drop D right now. So I think that's probably more so of the start of the guitar. And then throughout history, there were peaks and valleys of interest in the guitar. So whenever there was a really, really big guitarist of note, performer / composer, usually the interest in the guitar increased. And when that person would die, then the interest in the guitar would wane a little bit. So, you know, for a very long time, you know, Sohr, Giuliani, Rigondi, Cost, you know, and their peers, Mertz and others, you know, they would play their music or their transcriptions of music. They wouldn't play other guitarists' works. I think the only guitarist that I know personally, that I know of, excuse me, where there is an aspect where they played someone else's music was Aguado. Because Aguado and Sohr were very, very good friends, and Aguado did an arrangement, his version of Sohr's Grand Solo, right? What I call the Bonanza Solo is what I call it. That's always what I want to hear when I hear someone play that piece. But so, you know, Aguado actually published his version of Sohr's Grand Sonata. Other than that, I don't know of any other guitarists that played other guitarists' music, especially during those times. Maybe by the time of Tárrega and that, you know, but at that point you started having concertizing guitarists who were playing other people's music. So Llobet and Segovia, and they were playing, you know, they weren't composers really. They would arrange music, definitely, but they weren't composing their own pieces in the same right. I mean, Segovia has pieces that he wrote, but no major concert work. So he looked to other composers for that stuff. So once that started to happen, and really we credit Segovia. Excuse me. We credit Segovia to really bringing the guitar to, elevating the guitar to a position that it never had seen before, to a respect that had never been seen before. And so that's sort of really how the guitar got its foundation and wheels and all that kind of stuff. All right, so more music, I say. That's what I say. Unless there are any other questions. This next piece is Julia Florida. also by Agustin Barrios. And this piece was said to have been written for a student of his, Julia Farida. And it's in the style of a barcarolle, which is a boat song. And there's really nothing in all that much to say about this song, other than the fact that it is super beautiful. And I'm so excited to have this piece back in my program because a student of mine was working on it, and I'm like, oh, I forgot how beautiful this piece is. I'm going to learn it again. And so I decided to learn it again. And I'm always a sucker for a good melody. All right. Boom. Who's the guy that keeps having his alerts on for Facebook? Oh. That's me. Vicky, how's it going? How are you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Nice mood lighting. Oh, thank you. Not gonna lie. So I got these LED strips like 6 months ago and finally put them up. But depending on what social media platform I change, the lights. So, if it were on Twitch, they would turn purple. But we can't do that because we're on YouTube, so it's got to be red. If we were on Facebook, it'd be blue. Right? So, but we got to be red. YouTube. Vicky, how are you doing, Vicky? It's been so long since we've seen each other. I hope all is well. Hope you're doing well. So again, this is the time of the program where I will ask if anybody has any questions. Must have been a beautiful pupil. Guitarists have a history of like dating their students. Segovia did it. Others have done it, who I will not out on stream. Enough from the peanut gallery over there. So, but it's a beautiful piece. I love that piece. That is such a great piece. So overlooked, I think, in a lot of ways. So, once again, thank you everybody for hanging out with me and watching the stream and watching the concert. Vicky! Oh, thank you so much, Vicky, for the super chat. That's a super chat right there, in case anybody doesn't know. Keep it up. Oh, I will keep it up. Yeah. Keep it going. Oh, yeah. Keep going. Vicky, hope all is well with you and your loved ones. And I see that you're posting stuff on Facebook on like the music pages and everything. That's awesome. I love seeing it. So, where was I? I was saying things, and I forgot about the things that I was saying. You're still learning piano? Oh, awesome! That's great. How's your piano going? I bet you're doing a great job. Cats. The cats, like this one just wants pets. So, in case, you can do a super chat if you have the ability to do so, or you can use that wonderful Venmo link right there. $5 suggested donation, doesn't have to be $5. Any amount that you donate is greatly appreciated. It's better. It's been a year now. Oh, good for you. Congratulations. Glad to hear that. Vicky and I were in a band. Actually, if you peruse my my YouTube channel, you will find videos of us playing music together, doing some killer 80s music together. So thank you again, Vicky. So again, in the description below, you'll see a whole bunch of links at the very bottom. Those are my... We're okay, Miss... I know. We're all sort of hurting from this social distancing, but we got to do it. We got to stay safe and make sure that we are smart. But at the bottom of this description, past it is that Vicky. That's the reason why I never did backup vocals in the band. I can't sing and play. It just doesn't happen. So unless it's letter names of the music that I'm playing, but I can't do that. Hats off to anybody who plays an instrument and sings at the same time. So I have a handful of links down below. I have my two websites, my personal website, nickcutroneo.com, my guitar lessons website, nickcutroneoguitarstudio.com. And right now we've been doing internet remote lessons. We've been using Zoom, and it's been a great time. And actually, I have to applaud all of my students. They've been doing an outstanding job with dealing with the sudden changes of everything, and they're doing a great job, and I'm super proud of all of them. You can find me on Facebook at Nick Cutroneo. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Cutroneo. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Cutroneo. And then you can find me on Twitch. I'm there almost every day, live streaming practice sessions for 6 to 8 hours. You can find me there as Guitar Shredder. So that's the only one where I didn't use my name. Guitar Shredder is an old handle from high school and college that I used. I also have a Discord. If you're on Discord, the Shred I Order where guitarists and music lovers alike are gathering together to share memes, share pictures of our cats, and occasionally we talk about music and that kind of stuff. So all those links are down below. Feel free to check them out at your leisure. Again, my Venmo account information here, in case you didn't see it. It's been on there the whole time, so I'm sure you guys have seen it. And then, yeah, so, yeah, you're doing video piano lessons. That's awesome, Vicky. Good for you. I'm glad that this hasn't stopped you from doing it. And writing original tunes, that is so hard. One of the reasons why I never went further with electric guitar was because I just never felt inspired to write original tunes. But I'd love to hear if you've written any originals. It'd be great to hear them if you got them. But without further ado, if there are no other questions or things, I'm trying to think. We talked about the guitar. We talked about the audio stuff. So last piece on the program. We're at the end of the program. So the last piece is I would say arguably the most famous classical guitar piece ever written. And that's a pretty impressive feat, seeing as how it wasn't written for the classical guitar. It was written for piano. Leyenda, or also known as Asturias by Isaac Albeniz, was a piece written for piano, and it is to have been said, it has been theorized, or folklore has it, that Albeniz, while he was inspired by the musicians outside of his window in Spain, the street musicians of the day were flamenco musicians, guitarists, and flamenco dancers and singers. And so you can really hear it in the piece. Like, if you listen to the piano version, it does have that air of sort of flamenco street music to it. And gotta love the fact that I don't know how to turn off sounds. There we go. Let's do that. Only took me an hour. So this piece, became synonymous with the classical guitar through Andres Segovia's arrangement. He popularized it, he played it, and brought it to the classical guitar audiences around the world. It has become a staple in the classical guitar repertoire for probably 50, 60 years now. Legend also has it that Tárrega made an arrangement of this, and Tárrega and Albeniz were alive at around the same time, and it's to have been said that Albeniz actually heard Tárrega's arrangement and was really impressed with it. How much of that is true? I don't know. It's folklore at this point now. But needless to say, I think it works really, really well on the guitar. And I hope you guys enjoy Asturias, or Leyenda. So there we have it, everybody. Our second virtual live concert, our first one on YouTube. Again, thank you everybody for watching. Your support, your views are greatly appreciated. Thank you to everybody who donated, whether it's through Venmo or through Super Chat. That means the world to me. I'm really appreciative of the support. And yeah, so again, next week's concert. Oh, Lisa Ann, thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you, Andre. Appreciate it. It's been great having everybody here. I'm glad that you're enjoying the performance. So we will be back next week, but next week we'll be on Instagram Live. So that'll be the first time that I stream on Instagram Live. So that will be interesting because I have to make sure that I can stream using this setup and not just like an iPhone. We want to make sure that we have good audio and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting. I hope to see you guys there. Make sure that you're following me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Nick Cutroneo. Obviously, subscribe to the channel here. You can hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification. Every week, I am posting performance videos. Whether they are archived performance videos or whether they are taken from numerous live streams that I do throughout over time. So we have another video coming up this upcoming Thursday. Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when all of those videos come out. And if you follow me online on any of my socials, you'll definitely get the notifications for it. So yeah, anything else that's going on? So we'll be on Instagram. It'll be a great time. Again, it'll be sort of the same thing, question, answer sort of thing. So before we sign off and before we head out, is there any questions, any other questions that you may have for me before we head out for the evening? Let me know. Yeah. The silence is deafening. All right. I think that we'll call it a day then at that point. Yeah. So once again, thank you everybody for hanging out with me and for watching. It's been great to really get into having regular performances and really just sort of doing them on my own. You know, really feeling quite supportive of it. So it's been great. Andre, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching. Yeah, so we're gonna head out. I don't have a log off screen, so we're just gonna sort of do it the old-fashioned way of me stopping OBS. But once again, thank you everybody for hanging out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting it up. Thank you for donating again one last time. My Venmo at Nick-Cutroneo for donations or tips if you have the means to do so. If not, that is okay. Other quick little things before we wrap up. I am releasing a CD, hopefully, in June. So we'll have that stuff, that information available for you guys as it gets made available. Again, my next live stream performance will be on Instagram Live at Nick Cutroneo. Caroline, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were here being able to watch. However, you can catch me Wednesday through Saturday on twitch.tv/guitarshredder, where I do my practicing we'll be starting at like 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and going until I'm done practicing. So sometimes it's a while, as everybody in the household can attest to, that it takes a little bit of time. So I'll be back on those platforms this upcoming week. Again, my links are in the description. At Nick Cutroneo for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, but you guys are already here, so you know that one. Twitch.tv/guitarshredder. And my social medias I'll be posting up schedules, both monthly schedules and weekly schedules for performances and where you can catch me online. And feel free to stop on by, say hi, just hang out and have a good time. So once again, thank you all for coming out, and I will see you all in the next stream. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe, and thank you once again for everything, for watching and for the donations. It really means a lot to me. Have a good evening, everybody.